Has anyone ever received a gift that made you feel like a joke? I have. On Christmas Eve, right in front of the entire family, while others were unwrapping plane tickets to Paris, I was holding a neon orange book with a title that made me freeze. How to Grow Up for the Perpetually Immature. This wasn't some cute self-help book. It was the kind of mass-printed handout you'd find at corporate HR trainings, meant to gently shame you. The cover showed a cartoon woman in animal print pajamas, holding a popsicle, surrounded by unpaid bills. The subtitle was even worse. Escaping the Adult Body with a Child's Mind. I smiled. That kind of smile you use to hold back tears. That was my 32nd Christmas, and the 32nd year of playing the invisible member of the Taylor family. While I sat quietly in the corner, careful not to spill my cheap wine, my perfect older sister Cassandra was glowing by the Christmas tree, opening an ivory envelope embossed with an airline logo. "Rome?" Cassandra gasped, eyes sparkling like she'd just won the lottery. "We thought you could use more international experience for your career," my dad said, beaming with pride like he was introducing a keynote speaker at the "To expand your global network," my mom chimed in, talk show host style. Then she turned to me and held up the book. "And you," she said, "I thought this would help you grow." I nodded. I said nothing. Not because I agreed, but because I knew if I opened my mouth, even just once, I'd break down. Cassandra was always the star. Ivy League degrees, fluent in Italian, internships in Brussels. Me? I'm a preschool teacher in Milwaukee. I can make shadow puppets and turn construction paper into a unicorn in under 30 seconds. But to them, Cassandra is the future. And I'm just the sweet one who bakes cookies for kids. Last year, Cassandra got a MacBook Pro for research. I got a dry erase weekly planner for the wall. After presents, we had a potluck dinner. I brought homemade herb-roasted chicken that I had cooked that morning. Cassandra brought canned cranberry sauce. Guess which one got the praise? "Oh my goodness, this sauce is amazing," my dad exclaimed. "Did you make it, Cassandra?" "No, I just opened the can," she replied. "Practical as always," he chuckled, patting her shoulder like he'd just discovered the most admirable quality in the world. I nearly choked on my chicken. After dinner, I automatically got up to clean. No one offered to help. My mom handed me a garbage bag, smiling as she did. "You're always so good at this. I really admire how you're not above doing the little things." I didn't respond. I wanted to ask what she thought about keeping 28 kids safe every day, about managing a marker crisis during lunch, or teaching toddlers how to say sorry and wait their turn. But I didn't ask. Because I already knew the answer. To them, I was never a real adult. I was Ruby, the sweet, compliant, kind younger sister. The unpaid weekend babysitter, the one who watches Elodie every Saturday so Cassandra can go to Pilates. I was the helper. The shadow. That night, I sat in my tiny upstairs apartment above the laundromat. Snow was falling outside. The only sound in the room was Elodie's laughter replaying in my head. When I gave her the reindeer sock puppet I made. That laugh echoed longer than any holiday wish. Then I looked at the How to Grow Up book on the table. They gave it to me like a cleverly disguised jab, but this time, I wasn't swallowing it. Maybe they were right. Not in the way they intended, not to grow up and please them, but to grow up and realize I deserve respect. The next morning, while I was still picking bits of glitter off my floor, my phone buzzed nonstop. 3 missed calls from Cassandra, 1 text from Mom. "Can you help your sister real quick? Elodie's off school today and she has an important Zoom meeting." I was about to set the phone down when another message popped up. "You're not busy, right?" Not busy. The words hit me like a dull blade. They always assumed my time was disposable, free, insignificant. In reality, I had planned my whole week to finalize lesson materials for our winter-themed project, an initiative I proposed, approved by the principal, and highly anticipated by the kids. But I knew if I said no, all eyes would be on me like I'd just refused to save a drowning child. I showed up at Cassandra's house at 10 a.m. Elodie ran out, arms covered in paint and cookie dough. "Fairy Aunt Ruby," she squealed, waving the magic wand I gave her last month. Cassandra, in heels and a pale gray suit with her hair in a perfect bun, said, "Oh good, you're here. I've got to jump into a meeting just about 2 hours." I nodded. Like always. 2 hours became 4. After lunch, Cassandra peeked out of her office, phone still pressed to her ear, motioned 1 sec, and went right back in. "No thank you." When Marcus, her husband, came home, he gave me a quick glance and asked, "She's staying for dinner?" I stood there, one arm holding Elodie, the other wiping her mouth, and for the first time in months, my face burned. "No," I said, "I'm heading out." But just a bit of help didn't stop there. The next week was Marcus's birthday. Cassandra asked me to babysit so they could go out for a date night. Then Saturday came, with a leadership seminar. Then Monday because school was closed. Tuesday because the babysitter canceled. Wednesday because Marcus had a meeting. Slowly, a bit of help became a full-time unpaid schedule. I started turning down extra teaching hours because Elodie's schedule was unpredictable. I skipped friends' birthday parties. I even canceled an interview for a curriculum development specialist role, a job I truly wanted, because Cassandra called that morning and said, "Elodie's throwing up and I just can't leave her alone." There was never an apology, never a thank you dinner, never even gas money. "My mom?" she'd always say with a righteous tone. "You're the aunt, the family. The aunt should sacrifice first, right?" My dad would add, "It's not like you have a family of your own. What's the rush?" A rush? I wanted to scream. "I'm not a wall clock for you to schedule at your convenience." One time I got home nearly 3 hours late because Cassandra forgot to tell me she and Marcus were stopping by a friend's for wine. Elodie fell asleep on my lap around 9 p.m., whispering, "Don't go anywhere, Aunt Ruby." I held her, my eyes stinging. I endured this because I loved her. But that love, the way they twisted it, had turned me into a glitter-wearing babysitter called Fairy Aunt. I don't hate Elodie. I love that little girl with all my heart. But I hate how my love was drained to serve others. I hate the way I had to hide my own disappointment when my mom told the neighbors. Cassandra is the star of our family. And Ruby? Well, she does cute stuff with kids. I hated the way Marcus texted me at 11 p.m. "Can you come early tomorrow? Your sister has a spa appointment." A spa? I hadn't even washed my hair in 3 days. My entire world had shrunk to 2 words, can, and available. No one ever asked me what I wanted or needed. That night, after putting Elodie to bed, I stood in Cassandra's kitchen, wiping the dining table, staring at my reflection in the stainless steel microwave. I asked myself, whose life am I living? Back then, I didn't know the answer would begin with one email, one conversation, and my very first no. The book was still there, on the desk by the window, where the streetlight shone through the sheer curtains, lighting up the blaring words, "Growing up means stopping childish behavior." I'd stared at it for 3 nights straight. As if its tacky cover was daring me. What are you waiting for? Then, on the 4th night, I opened my laptop. I didn't write anything bitter, no accusations, no sarcasm. I just wrote exactly what I meant, for the first time in a long time. A message to Cassandra. Starting this new year, I won't be watching Elodie on weekends anymore. I love her dearly, but I also need time for my own life and work. I can't keep pushing aside all my plans just to fill in for other adults. I hope you understand. I sat still after hitting send. My heart was pounding, but a strange feeling crept in. Relief. The second message, to Mom and Dad. Thank you for the Christmas gift. It really made me think. I'll be stopping all financial support for Cassandra, from tuition to plane tickets to emergency expenses. I need to focus on my own future now. I hope you'll respect this choice. No justifications, no guilt. Just truth, simple and firm. I didn't have to wait long. At 7 a.m. the next morning, my phone lit up non-stop. 6 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad. One group message titled, "Loving Family," that read, "Ruby, what is this? I'm truly shocked. What are you doing?" I didn't reply. I made coffee, sat at my desk, put on some instrumental music, and began prepping materials for my weekend storytelling lesson. Meanwhile, my phone kept buzzing, like it was whispering, "You're causing trouble." By noon, Cassandra texted, "No greeting. You can't just stop in the middle like this. I have a deadline. Elodie needs you. You're the only one she'll eat porridge from." I replied simply, "I know, but you're her mom. You'll figure it out." Then came a silence, about 40 minutes long, the longest I'd ever experienced after turning down a request from family. But the real storm followed. Mom called again. This time, I picked up. Her voice hit me sharp, cold and disappointed. "Ruby, I don't understand. You've never been like this. This isn't you." I interrupted her, calmly but firmly. "Maybe I've never been like this because I was never allowed to be." "Allowed to be what?" she snapped. "To live my own life, without feeling like I'm being ungrateful." That afternoon I came home early, played the voice message Mom had sent after the call. Her voice trembled. "This family has always needed each other, you know that. Saying no is selfish. Family doesn't turn its back like this." I repeated her words in my mind. Family doesn't turn its back. But does family have the right to treat one child like a shadow, burden them with expectations, and erase their worth, just because they didn't follow the mold? I remembered clearly the day Cassandra first went to Brussels. She cried because she was short $900 for the visa fee. I withdrew the money from my car savings and transferred it without hesitation. When she gave birth to Elodie, I cancelled 3 months of puppet show contracts to help her. When Marcus had his pay cut, I sent money for baby formula, even though I was paying off credit card debt. And now, just for saying no once, I was branded a traitor. That night, I sat by the window, watching thick snow fall outside. Elodie wouldn't be with me that weekend. No laughter, no fairy Aunt Ruby turned sandwiches into flowers game. The room was quiet, the cold crept through the window gap. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was spiraling through a tornado of duty and guilt. I placed the How to Grow Up book back on the shelf. Not to throw it away. Not to keep it as a bitter reminder. I left it there as a message to myself. Growing up isn't abandoning yourself to please others. It's learning to set boundaries and honoring them. You've changed. You're not that sweet daughter who always puts family first anymore. That was the first line in the email Mom sent a week after I set my boundary. No, are you okay? No checking in. Just a list of accusations typed in Times New Roman, as if she was writing a complaint letter instead of talking to her daughter. At the bottom, a plea for me to reflect, ending with, "Don't let the family down by choosing to live so coldly." Cold. The word repeated like a dull knife. Every reread stung. I once saw myself as kind, approachable, always ready to help, but apparently the moment I said no, all of that vanished. I wasn't surprised that Cassandra didn't text for almost 2 weeks. She was a master of the silent treatment. A classic move in our family. If you didn't do what they wanted, they'd make you feel like you betrayed the entire bloodline. By week 3, she sent just one line. "Mom, cried all night because of you." I sat on the couch, holding a mug of lukewarm tea, and quietly exhaled. No one had asked why I made that decision. No one mentioned how I felt. No one acknowledged the countless evenings I gave up, the weekends stolen, or the money I wired without ever asking for a cent back. I hadn't turned cold. I had just stopped sacrificing myself for validation that never came. That whole month, I didn't go to Cassandra's. Didn't watch Elodie. Skipped Sunday dinners. Every time I checked my phone, there was another message from Mom, ranging from concern to anger to guilt, tripping. Family is about love, not conditions. You're isolating yourself. We miss you, but your behavior is hurting everyone. Not a single line said, you did the right thing by giving so much without asking for anything. At school, I still taught with passion and patience. The kids had no idea about the silent battles I was fighting at home. To them, I was still Miss Ruby, the teacher with glittery shoes, and a different voice for every story character. One day, while helping Mia, a teary-eyed 4-year-old, color in a pumpkin with an orange crayon, she looked up and asked, Miss Ruby, are you sad? I froze. Why do you ask that? Because you're not smiling with your eyes today. I smiled. This time, it was real. Just a little. Kids see what adults never notice. That night, I went home and pulled out an old notebook I used to write down secret wishes. The first page, written in purple ink, read, one day, I'll live a life where I don't need anyone's permission. I had forgotten that line for years, now it came back to life. That weekend, I got an invite from Lily, a close coworker, to see an interactive art exhibit for children. I said yes immediately. I didn't have to check a babysitting schedule or wait to see if Mom would call me to come clean her house. When I posted a photo on Instagram of myself standing beside a bright, hand-painted wall, the caption was simple. A day of true freedom. That same night I got a text from Dad. Disappointed that you had time to go out, but not stop by to see your mom? When I didn't reply. I was tired of having to justify living my own life. On Sunday, I stopped by the used bookstore on the corner. While reading the back cover of a book about emotional boundaries, a woman around my age came up to me. Excuse me, are you Ruby, the one who hosted Emily's birthday party? I looked up, surprised. She keeps talking about you, that was her happiest day of the year. I smiled. This time it was full and light. As I left the bookstore, a new message popped up from Cassandra. Mom and Dad say you're avoiding us, but you're not avoiding, Ruby. You're becoming cold. Truly. I stood on the sidewalk, the winter air stinging my face. I typed back. I'm not trying to be cold. I just don't want to live in the loop you and Mom and Dad created. I'm not disappearing. I just want a life of my own. I hit send. A minute passed. No reply. I slipped my phone into my coat pocket and kept walking, my steps lighter than ever. I knew I wasn't invited the moment I saw the first photo on Facebook. Cassandra had posted it Saturday morning, the exact day of Elodie's 3rd birthday. In the photo, Elodie stood on the backyard grass in a pale pink dress, in front of a 3-tier pastel cake that looked like it came straight out of a magazine. Cassandra and Marcus posed next to her like a wedding portrait. Behind them were balloon arrangements shaped into the number 3, with golden letters spelling ELODIE. No one tagged me. No invitation. No text in advance. No sign that I, the one who once stayed up all night making paper flower garlands for her 1st birthday, was still part of the family picture. I sat still for a long time. The water bottle on the table had gone completely warm. I wasn't jealous. I was hurt. Not because I wasn't invited, but because Elodie might think I had forgotten her. I couldn't let that happen. That afternoon, I dug through old supply boxes in the closet. Birthday decorations, color palettes, glitter pens, old wands, and the sparkly dresses she used to wear to play fairy. I messaged 2 friends who worked at the community center, the one that had hosted the charity event with me last year. They agreed to let me use a small room on Sunday, no charge. I called a few parents, those who had once asked me to organize their kids' birthday parties, and said, I'm planning a surprise party for Elodie. Nothing loud, just an afternoon of balloons, glitter, and love. Everyone said yes, some even offered to bring a cake. On Sunday morning, I started setting up at 7 a.m. The little room was filled with purple, gold, and teal. I hung up the triangle flags Elodie had painted last year during her Dreams art class. One side had a bright, colorful candy table, the other a magic workshop, where the kids made their own wands with wooden sticks and ribbons. As expected, in the center of the room, I set up a tiny puppet stage, and of course, I brought the sparkly fairy wings Elodie always called her magic costume. Elodie arrived at 10 a.m. with her new babysitter, a senior psychology student who had helped me in class before. She squealed the moment she saw me. "Fairy Aunt Ruby." I hugged her tight, swallowing the lump in my throat. The party was chaotic and joyful in the most genuine way. Elodie made a wand with 3 shades of glitter. She decorated cupcakes with sprinkles and marshmallows. When I performed with Sir Sparkle, the talking dragon puppet, she laughed so hard she cried. There was no professional photographer. No branded balloon arches. No edited filters. Just laughter, hugs, and a glowing little girl who lit up the whole room. When the party ended, Elodie ran to hug me, frosting on her cheeks and glitter still stuck to her sweater. "Aunt Ruby is a real fairy. This is the best birthday ever." I didn't cry, I just smiled and said, "That's because you brought the magic, Elodie." I thought it would end there. I was wrong. 3 days later, I got a message from Mom. "Elodie cried all night. What did you do to make her tell her teacher that Mom's party was boring?" Before I could respond, Cassandra texted. "Elodie told everyone the real party was with Ruby and that my party was just adults and bad cake. You think that's okay?" Then came a voice message from Dad. "You need to stop this now. The way you're acting is unacceptable. Don't turn that little girl into a tool to attack her mother." I sat there in silence. I had never spoken badly about anyone. I never used Elodie as a tactic. I simply threw a party because she deserved a joyful memory. Without pressure, without pretense. I replied to Cassandra with a short message. "You didn't invite me. I didn't crash your party. Elodie is just being honest, like any 3-year-old would. If that hurts, maybe the question should be for yourself, not me." That night, I turned off all social media notifications. No comments, no replies, no voicemails. I just sat there, sipping peppermint tea, replaying the image of Elodie waving her wand and shouting, "Poof, turn all the sad people into happy ones." I didn't need anything more than that. It all began with a vague message from Cassandra, sent at 8 a.m. on Monday. Right as I was walking into class, helping the kids glue cotton snowflakes. "We need to talk, seriously. Someone said you took Elodie out of school without permission." I read that message 3 times. The words were cold as steel, no greeting, no clarity. But the intention was clear. She was implying I had kidnapped my own niece. An hour later, the principal called me into her office. She showed me a printed, anonymous email, sent from a hidden account, asking whether a staff member had taken a child off school premises without written consent from the biological parent. I sat in stunned silence. No need to ask where that email came from. And no need to guess that this wouldn't stop, unless I did something. That afternoon I went home, pulled my external hard drive from the drawer, and connected it to my laptop. I got to work like I was prepping for trial. I reopened all the texts between Cassandra and me, including the conversation before the party. Just something simple, like last year, nothing fancy. "I'll drop Elodie off at 10, we have lunch plans. Also, if you need to book a space, let me know. Pick whatever feels comfortable." I saved the receipt from the community hall reservation, my name, date, time, and payment. I screenshot the babysitter's message, where she confirmed. "Cassandra asked me to bring her right on time. She said Aunt Ruby is the most trustworthy person." I compiled all that into a folder, named it The Truth. That night, I wrote a short but firm email addressed directly to Cassandra, CCing my mother. Because I knew they always operated as a unit. Subject: regarding recent false claims. Body: Hi Cassandra. I was just made aware that someone is spreading the idea that I took Elodie without parental consent. To avoid misunderstanding or any misguided legal action, I'm including the following. Our full text thread prior to the party. Messages confirming time, location and consent. Receipt for the community hall rental under my name. Message from the babysitter you entrusted with Elodie. I hope this makes it clear that everything happened with explicit, documented consent. If anyone continues making false claims or contacts my workplace to harm my reputation, I will involve my attorney to protect both my name and my job. I love Elodie, but I will not let others use that love to target me. Sincerely, Ruby. I read the email twice, then hit send. No shaking, no fear. Just the cold calm of a woman who's exhausted from being cast as the good sister, the agreeable daughter, the silent fairy. A day passed. No reply. On day 2 my mother called. I didn't answer. On day 3 Cassandra texted. I didn't think you'd take it this far. I didn't reply. I just took a screenshot and saved it in the truth folder. But they weren't done. A relative from Dad's side, Aunt Helen, called and asked with a suggestive tone, "Are you okay? I heard there's some legal trouble." Then a former classmate of mine, now working in HR at an elementary school nearby, messaged, "Heard something about a kid? Is it true?" I knew it clearly. Cassandra and my mother were quietly weaving a story. That I, a teacher with emotional issues, was jealous of my sister and using my niece as a tool to gain attention. I didn't fight back by arguing. I didn't go online to expose them. I didn't call a family meeting to defend myself. I sent all the evidence to my lawyer friend, the one who'd helped me resolve a lease dispute before. After reading it, he said just one thing. "You handled this perfectly. If they push further, I'll walk into court with you." That weekend, I hosted an art workshop for autistic children at the public library. When Elodie saw me, she come with Marcus's mom. She ran over and hugged me tight, shouting, "My fairy is here." I sat down with her and we painted a winged cat in green and orange. The whole time, I didn't think about Cassandra. I didn't think about the accusation. I just focused on that little hand holding mine. I knew I had done the right thing. Then came a strange silence. After the storm of subtle attacks, suggestive words, and veiled blame, suddenly, nothing. No texts. No calls. No guilt-tripping emails. No one asking if I was free to watch Elodie for a bit. My mother vanished from my life like a slammed door no one bothered to lock again. Cassandra maintained her weaponized silence, her deadliest move. I didn't reach out. I didn't wait for them to come back. Because for the first time in years, I no longer needed to prove I was the good one in their carefully curated narrative. A few days later, I received a private message from Rebecca, Cassandra's college best friend, whom I'd only met twice in my life. "I know it's not my place, but the way they're talking about you, it's not okay. If you ever need someone to back up the truth, I'm here." I sat quietly for a few minutes, gripping my phone, heart racing for reasons I couldn't explain. Not from anger, but because for the first time, someone outside my family saw me. Not through Cassandra's lens. Not through my mother's twisted words. Then came Sarah, a single mom who had hired me to organize her son's birthday last year. I just saw pictures from Elodie's party. "The kids look genuinely happy. Are you still taking bookings?" "I'm planning something for next month." Within a week, I received 3 more requests, from people I'd never met. They said they heard about me through Aunt Ruby's magic party. They didn't need me to wear a blazer or have an MBA. They just wanted someone who could create a space where kids could laugh, play, and be themselves. I started working every weekend. Not as a wary, silent babysitter anymore, but as the host of small, cozy, colorful events, where I used puppets to tell stories, painted little faces, and taught kids how to make foil crowns. I brought on a part-time assistant, Maya, a sophomore majoring in special education. She could twist a balloon into a unicorn in under a minute. "You're a legend among the moms in my neighborhood," Maya grinned, sliding over a box of craft paper. "I thought you were a made-up character." I laughed out loud, a real laugh, not forced, not guarded. One afternoon, I got a call from Uncle Frank, one of the few relatives on Dad's side who still kept in touch. "Kiddo," he said in his warm, gravelly voice, "I saw your mom's Facebook post. and I didn't like the way she hinted about a selfish family member tearing us apart. I know she meant you. I stayed silent. But you know what? He continued. At my age, I've learned this. Some people only feel right when they have someone to blame. Don't let yourself be their shadow. I choked up, not because his words were harsh, but because he said what I had wished for years to hear from my own father. That night I posted a photo, just a small table covered with a white cloth, some birthday cards being handwritten, a tray of star-shaped cookies, and a box of crayons. No caption, no hints, no bitterness. Just a moment of peace, and mine. A week later, I received an invitation to speak at an early education workshop at the city's central library. The organizers said they'd heard about me through the community parties I hosted and were impressed with how I wove emotional learning into children's activities. I read the email 3 times, and then I smiled. Not because of recognition. Not because of accolades. But because finally I was being seen, not by blood, but by people who recognized my true worth. I knew my mom still believed I was overreacting. I knew Cassandra still told relatives I was immature, theatrical, and not serious about life. But I also knew, more clearly than ever, I didn't need an apology to keep living true to myself. As I sat planning 3 new parties for the upcoming month, Maya handed me a brand new jar of glitter. I thought you'd like this one, she said. Shinier, longer lasting. I took it, watched the sparkling bits swirl inside and thought to myself, shiny, resilient, not easily erased. Just like me now. 3 years later I stood in front of the mirror in my new workspace. A small, vibrant studio on the 2nd floor of a red brick building near the Central Park. Sunlight poured through the large window, casting warm light on a hand-painted mural of children wearing paper crowns and holding glittery magic wands. On my desk was a calendar booked solid for the next 8 weeks. In the left corner stood shelves full of markers, glitter, and ribbon. In the center of the wall, a whiteboard read, "No one has the right to dim your light. Not even family." My work wasn't just about birthday parties anymore. I ran a creative learning program for children aged 3 to 7. Every weekend I held Unicorn Club, where kids learned through games, storytelling, crafts, and yes, pretending to be talking dragons. Parents called me Ruby the Magic Maker. Kids called me Miss Ruby with the magic glitter. And I called this work freedom. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. But I was living true to myself. No longer existing to soothe someone else's ego, or play supporting roles in someone else's spotlight. I chose my own light, even if it was small, it was real. Elodie is 6 now. Every time she visits, she runs into my arms and asks the same question. Auntie Fairy Ruby, who are we pretending to be today? Once, it was the Donut Queen. Another time, a spy who turns into a cat. Once, she looked at me and said, "You're a grown-up, but not boring, you laugh with your whole belly." I laughed the rest of that day. Cassandra is no longer the perfect older sister she once was. After I stopped supporting her financially, she had to work, actually work. No more expensive classes in Europe. No more strategy seminars that were really spa getaways. She took a modest administrative job at a nonprofit focused on community development. Stable, humble, and for the first time, real. I didn't say anything when I heard. I just nodded, thinking, everyone has their own journey. Some grow through advice. Some grow through loss. One day, Cassandra sent me a video. Elodie, in a purple fairy dress, was dancing in the living room singing loudly. Aunt Ruby says I'm a little light, and I'll never go out. At the end of the clip, Cassandra's voice whispered over the background. Thank you. I didn't understand then. I didn't reply right away. I let the message sit on my phone for a few days. Not because I was still angry, but because I'm learning how to forgive without forgetting. My relationship with my parents still has distance. They never apologized. They still send messages like, "If only our family could be like before." Cassandra really has tried. Don't be too hard on her. I don't react anymore. I don't need them to fully understand me. It's enough that I no longer suffocate myself to please them. One autumn afternoon, while packing supplies for my Bubble Kingdom workshop, I found the old book they once gave me, How to Grow Up. I flipped through a few pages. Still the same tired lines. Real adults don't eat cake with their hands. I laughed out loud. I eat cake with my hands nearly every week, alongside Elodie and kids with frosting on their noses. And I've never felt more grown up. Because growing up isn't trading sneakers for high heels. It's not quitting coloring or tossing out glitter. And it's definitely not saying yes to every demand just because you're family. Growing up is knowing when to say enough. It's understanding that your boundaries deserve respect. It's choosing to live your own life, even when others don't approve. Now my calendar is fully booked for the next 2 months. I have a list of new creative classes ready to launch. I have kids' scribbled drawings taped all over my studio walls. I have an assistant who makes dinosaur-shaped balloons and teases me with glitter. I have a niece who calls me Magic Aunt Ruby whenever she needs someone to believe in the impossible. And above all, I have myself, whole, unburdened, no longer asking for permission. I don't know if I've gone too far. All I know is this. This life, finally, belongs to me. Ruby's story is a powerful reminder that kindness does not mean surrender. In a world where family expectations can become invisible chains, standing up, setting boundaries and protecting your worth is a bold act of maturity. Ruby didn't seek revenge. She didn't try to hurt anyone. She simply chose to live authentically. And that choice opened a life far more fulfilling than any false approval could ever offer. Growing up sometimes begins with the courage to say, enough. What do you think about Ruby's journey? Have you ever felt dismissed just because you didn't live up to someone else's expectations? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to follow the channel for more powerful family stories to come.